Right. So thank you everybody for joining us today. And we have lots to be sharing, so I will be speeding along. Let me know if I'm going too fast or if anyone else is going too fast. We'll try our best to stay within time and also to cover really, really important things that we've been up to this whole year. Next slide, please, Glenn. Thank you. Welcome. First things first, we want to welcome our new UBHubbers and contributors to our community. And we've had lots of additions this year due to our regional program that our friend here, Eric, will be sharing very, very shortly. But just to call you out by name for a bit, we have Rute, or as he calls himself, Rute, Tatiana, Franco, Mateo, Anastasia, and Eric. And the next slide. And also Dave, France, Maitreyi, Debbie, Julie, and Meherwan. Welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us as UBHubbers. Yay! Well, today we have a really packed agenda covering what we've been up to for 2024. We'll talk about the publications that we did for this year, our regional program. Sorry, just a slide back. Our regional program, which is a really exciting part of what we've been up to in 2024. Collaborations that we've had this year, consultancies, external events that UBHubbers were at, and our structure and processes. And then at the very end of the meeting, we'll be going through some legal matters that we need to comply with in order to maintain our society status as we are registered in BC, Canada. So feel free to hop off at that point in time, but if you'd like to stay on, you are more than welcome to. And we'll jump right into that. Next, we'll have publications. And Jen, you're on.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the meeting. And we this year had one publication that became official, which is the publication on the Urban Nature Indexes tool in a Nature Partner Journal. This was in Nature Partner Journal Urban Sustainability, and this article described the methodology that we use to develop the Urban Nature Indexes tool, and it's our most significant publication to date. So feel free to take a look at that. We're really happy to have had that accepted and published it towards the beginning of this year. I am now handing off to Eric, who will be describing our regional program. It's a new part of UBHub.
Oh, well, great timing, Jen, because I think Eric's connection just got lost and I saw him trying to join us from the waiting room.
Okay, sure. Eric, are you with us?
I think he might need a couple moments to just get back.
Okay, that's no problem. I can get started with that one. Can you take the next slide, please? Thanks. So the UBHub regional program in 2023 began with regional leads around the world, but not in all regions yet. So you see here our status in 2023. And the intent of the program at that time was to promote different perspectives of nature and fostering action within and around cities across regions in the world. So at that time, we were still recruiting a couple of regions. We had our region's director, Ricardo, appointed, and several regional leads. And there was a big growth in this program starting in 2024 when we were able to work with IUCN CEM to generate an IUCN CEM and UBHub regional program, and at the same time recruited regional leads for every region in the world that's inhabited. So we now have in this regional program 3 times more contributors, and the regional program is focused around regional briefings. I think we might have Eric on the line now if you'd like to. Eric, are you available? Yes. Okay, I will have
I am. Sorry about that. Hello, everyone. It's great to have you all here. As Jennifer was saying, there was a substantial expansion on our regional work as of 2024 because of the IUCN Commission on Ecosystems Management collaboration. which leads into the specialist working group on urban ecosystems. And within that, we have now established a set of 6 regional briefings that cut across the globe and that are extremely exciting, that look different in different places, but are happening basically once a month or every 2 months, sort of throughout the year. And we started them as of September. So between September and December, we've had at least 4 briefings, 3 to 4 briefings across the various regions. Let's go to the next slide. So this is our ecosystem of regional collaboration between UBHub and IUCN, and particularly the Urban Ecosystem Specialist Working Group. We have 2 co-leads and a young professional for every single region, and it is sparring sort of a great deal of exciting collaboration with city governments, right? National government entities, with civil society organizations, practitioners, researchers, universities. It's a sort of a multifunctional, multifaceted sort of group of players that come together to share. Let's go to the next. So we've got 6 regions. We've had at least 15 regional briefings since September, and we've engaged over 200 sort of nature professionals, sort of biodiversity professionals from academia, cities, private companies, NGOs, and this has cut across, as I said, all 6 regions. So in Africa, we had really exciting briefings that are city specific. So what we do is we make sure that cities, sort of brief, and then we have all of the allies from, civil society, academia, NGOs come together to share with those cities, and then across cities. So we first started with the city of Cape Town, and then the city of Nairobi. We have a list of 6 cities lined up from January onward next year, where we sort of are really delving into the urban nature challenge, but also what's the exciting things that are actually happening around biodiversity conservation and urban nature, both conservation, preservation, expansion, regeneration. But it looks different, like I said, across all spaces. Excuse me. In Asia, they've been looking at sort of sharing studies on NBS for nature adaptation. Sort of we've looking at the context around sort of conservation, adaptation. Sort of looking at climate. You're looking at biodiversity within the climate context, integrating those dynamics together. Those are the things that cut across all regions. And the most important thing is that sort of within the context of urban nature and biodiversity, we can conserve, we can regenerate at scale. That's what we're finding. Yeah. There we are. Next slide. So coming up, we're looking at strengthening the regional nature and cities briefings. And we really want to give space to cities to brief, right across all of the regions, but also for the practitioners, right? A lot of the urban nature work is being done through local civil society organizations, local NGOs, funded by international NGOs and others, or by government themselves. And so we want to make sure that we open up a platform for those conversations to be happening, but also sort of conversations across different cities and across different regions. And so what we'll be looking at is mapping regional urban nature and biodiversity projects, right? Understanding who's doing what where. There's a lot going on. There's not enough, sort of clear evidence. And so if we can figure out a way to link into some sort of repository, just a simple mapping that says that this thing is happening, has been happening for this long, this kind of results are happening, then sort of from there we actually lead that into some sort of repository that can be linked to the IUCN and UBHub websites, and then sort of be linked to regional working groups, sort of that enhance the collaboration around urban nature and biodiversity conservation. I think I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Eric. I will pass, and our regional program is really, really exciting. There's some comments in the chat, so please do check it out. We're recruiting for our North America region. So if you're interested in leadership as an UBHubber, definitely contact any one of us. We'll be more than happy to get you on board. Then I'll pass the time on to Pablo, who will talk more about collaborations that we've had.
Thank you. Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Great. Well, so can you go to the next slide, please? Well, so this year we have great news in terms of collaborations. So this year at COP16 at the UNCBD in Cali, Colombia, we signed an MOU to collaborate at the subnational government with the Secretary of Environment of Quintana Roo, which is a subnational government in Mexico. And in 2016, it was the host of the COP13 of CBD, which is also our birthplace. And this was done together with Keystone Species Alliance, which is an organization focused on the recognition and protection of keystone species. So through this MOU, we will focus on keystone species in the state of Quintana Roo, and our role will be to ensure that urban planning is addressed and that there is connectivity between urban landscapes. This sets the precedence for us to be able to work with other subnational governments, also as an entry point to cities and local governments. Can we go to the next one, please? Thank you. So this year, we also strengthen our collaboration with the International Association of Horticultural Producers, AIPH, who are the creators of the World Green City Awards. And this was done through promotion and engagement. We're still part of NATURA, leading the thematic working group of global to local, and more updates on that will come later when we talk about our attendance to the NATURA in-person AGM in 2024. And finally, our collaboration with IUCN Commission on Ecosystem Management is through the regional program that was described earlier by Eric and by Jennifer. I think that's it. Thank you.
We'll hop to a little other part of the world where we're looking at application of uni in cities and subnational governments and building those kinds of collaborations, particularly in India, led by Anushri.
Hello, everyone. I hope my audio is good. So in terms of the uni and its application in India, so there's an ongoing discussions that we are doing with IUCN Delhi office, and hopefully we're going to kickstart the urban portfolio in India with them. In terms of the policy, the Meghna Water Future Program is something that we are looking at, where an NBA strategy is being developed, where we're looking at uni and its application for the urban areas within the watershed of Meghna River. Then we are also doing a collaboration with Geetham University as part of a research grant that has been given to Dr. Sopani Paul, and where we are looking at assessing urban biodiversity measures in terms of looking comparison with uni and city biodiversity index and something like that. So that's where we are coming in terms of practice, policy, and academia.
Thank you, Anushri. We'll jump next. I think that's all for our collaborations. And we'll continue on to share about the consultancies that we've been able to work on this year. There's 3 of them, and the first one is an ongoing consultancy already from last year called for the Nature Science-Based Targets Network. Maitreyi, the floor is yours.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. It's my first time. I'm really excited to be here. So really talking about consultancies, it's been very busy this year and it's been very productive. The first consultancy that's going on is the Science-Based Targets for Cities for Nature. And the general objective of the consultancy is to create a target setting guidance for cities that are seeking to improve their impact on nature. And we have about 4 very big objectives that we've sort of broadly put it up here. The first one really looks at evaluating the existing frameworks for biodiversity. And while we were sort of existing those frameworks, we also looked at what are these different thematics you can look at And the bigger objective also was that we were trying to prepare a pilot testing theme, as in to see how these science-based targets works with one theme. And that's what we arrived at in the first objective is which is land use development and sprawl. So once we had the pilot theme in place, we also started to look at what are these indicators and what are their calculation methodologies in place for the specific indicator. And once we did that, we were then also looking at, okay, now that we have these indicators, we have a pilot theme. We're also trying to look at how do you pilot these methodologies and then set targets for them in cities. That's what the third objective looks like. And then finally, we're trying to bring this together in a form of a guidance document and prepare an initial guidance for the network of cities. So that's a very big project in a nutshell. So we have a lot of team members working. Many of them are here. And now I'll jump to the next slide, please. So that's a very brief timeline of the project. We started way in October 2023. There have been many, many milestones in between. We've had surveys, we had interviews, we've had workshops. We also presented our work at the TNOC Festival and at the COP that's recently happened. So where we are at right now is that we're trying to refine the guidance framework. We finished the first three objectives. We're trying to look at how do we really pilot the theme in one of the cities, in many cities. And then we're also trying to launch this way in 2025 in spring. So that's what the timeline looks like. On the next slide, please. So that's about the first consultancy. The second one is a very recent one. It's the IUCN Guidelines on Urban NBS. The objective under this consultancy is that we are trying to develop guidelines for implementing nature-based solutions in urban environment. Of course, it's done in collaboration with the IUCN, and the primary objective is how do we really develop these sectoral guidelines for urban nature-based solutions, which is starting from the design phase to the implementation phase. That's a very core part of the consultancy. We've just started. And some of the other goals that we're also trying to look at through the process is while developing these guidelines, how do we really also enhance IUCN's role in connecting with the Commission itself, but also the different partners who are looking at urban NBS and implementing them. And also in that process, how do you give a certain technical guidance on urban NBS to urban practitioners and city planners? So that is what we are trying to look at in this consultancy. And I'm going to stop there and hand it back.
Thanks, Maitreyi. You're doing really great work managing big parts of those projects. And another new consultancy that we're working on is to produce the content for the IUCN Academy Professional Certificate on Measuring and Monitoring Urban Nature. So a lot of the work that we were doing revolves around the urban nature indexes that we had helped to develop back in 2021. And this professional course is for learners to learn how to use that to assess cities' influence on biodiversity and to address challenges. And the learners will learn access case studies and success stories through this course. And it will be launched in February 2025. So I think we'll have the link to that in the chat if we can get someone to put that in for those who are interested to find out more about this. Next, please. So we've covered quite a lot of ground in a really, really short time. And I wanted to just let everyone know that we're going to be talking a lot more for the rest of the session. But before we go on, we thought that it would be nice to take a really short break by taking a group photo with everyone. So if you'd like to have your face as a group photo, let's see how we can capture all of us in one screen. Oh, sorry, Glenn, would you mind just closing the screen share for this moment? Hello, everyone, and all your beautiful faces. I know it's pretty early for some of you. It's pretty late for some of us. I had forgotten to mention, but I'll mention this after I take the photo. Okay. Let me try this. I have two screens on, like two pages on my screen. So you're gonna have to fix your smiling face Let's do.
Can you do 1, 2, 3, please?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, let's do a 1, 2, 3. Okay, the next screen, you don't know which screen you're on, so you got to keep that smile. So the next screen, 1, 2, 3. Thank you very, very much for joining us for the group photo, but we have lots more still to share. And I want to, oh, Glenn, if you could reshare this, the PowerPoint presentation, that'd be great. And I was mentioning earlier that it's really early or really late for some of us. For me, I'm based in Tokyo, and it's almost 10:30 p.m. my time. And I have 2 young kids, one of whom is still a really small baby. So I might at some point disappear for a moment if my baby wakes up and cries. But my husband's here to help put her back to sleep, but sometimes she really just wants mommy. So if that happens, Jennifer and others will take over, but just don't be worried if I suddenly disappear. I think what would be best if is I could bring her to the meeting. But I think it's pretty late for a baby, so she should be sleeping. All right. We have lots of events that we were at this year. This list here that you see on the right is actually just a selection of in-person events that we would like to highlight. But we'll share with you a summary of what we were able to achieve by attending all these different events and under the UBHub name to share more about what we're doing and also to form partnerships. So I'll pass this section on to Jennifer.
Thanks. If you can go to the next slide, that'd be great. So this year we had more in-person and virtual events than ever. Our outreach has really exploded this year, not only through the regional briefings program and our regional leads who are marvelous, but also through in-person connections, virtual presentations, and all kinds of outreach this year. It's really, I'm so amazed every time reflecting back on what we've achieved over the past year. So this past year, we counted 15 events, 11 of which were in person. We had 35 UBHubbers in person at these events and presenting. We gave 23 presentations. We presented to or did workshops with over 1,000 people this year, and we're able to reconnect or make new connections with over 250 people. You can also see that our organization prides ourselves in being very global. And so we decided to mark for all the in-person events what the locations were. And you can see that we've been reaching out all around the world. And I apologize, I think this slide is a little bit old because we also have an event in Africa that we've added in. So we have events on nearly every continent this last year. So we're really happy about that. And we'll just go through and highlight a few of the events that we attended by name. So starting with the next one. So the first event is the NATURA annual general meeting, or all hands meeting, I think they call it. We've attended this event in the past. And we've attended there again this year, and it's a great event for us. NATURA is an amazing partner. We presented there, and we also recruited quite a few of our UBHubbers this year at that all hands meeting. And for those who are not familiar with NATURA, it's a network of networks for nature-based solutions and cities. So it's a great organization, and we're very happy to be collaborating with them. Next slide, please. The TNOC Festival, or the Nature of Cities is what TNOC stands for, is another organization we've had a long-standing relationship with. And this is, I think, our favorite event to go to every year. We try to send as many people as we can. The Nature of Cities Festival this year was in Berlin, and it varies year over year where it takes place. And it's a coming together of artists, and nature people from all around the world. It's always such a great time. And this year we paired this with a presentation workshop that was like a full day workshop for our science-based targets for nature program. And then we also presented at TNOC itself some of the progress on that particular program. And we managed to have 6 UBHubbers at the conference this year, which is more than we've had in the past at that particular event. So that was really exciting. Next slide, please. So another really interesting one, this is a new one for us, is the Clusters Forum. We were able to send a person to the Clusters Forum. I was the attendee there. And this is an invitation only, a small group of people that's bringing together NGOs, investors, and entrepreneurs on a particular topic. So this was their second round on cities and focused on city resilience. And then the idea is to bring together these groups of people to talk about collaborations, to link together funders with organizations that need funding. And it was a really amazing event, and they're doing it again this coming year. So we hope to be involved again. So that was the Clusters Forum. And then I will hand off to Sabrina, who will tell us about the event that she attended this year, the Urbio conference.
Hi, good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah,
Great.
see you well.
Great. So yeah, this is the Urbio group. It's primarily a group of academics who come together every couple of years to hold this conference, the Urban Biodiversity and Design for Local Communities group. And this particular year, it was, sorry, this year it was focused on local communities. It's always urban biodiversity and design. And while we met in the US, it is an international group. There were, between both in-person and online participants, there were 111 participants from 16 different countries. I represented UBHub there and gave a talk on the urban nature indices. And I just wanted to highlight, so I should say that proceedings are, when these slides go out, you'll all be able to click on the proceedings if you want to see more. There were concurrent sessions, so I wasn't attending all of them. But I just wanted to highlight some of the other work that people were doing related to sort of urban nature indices and measuring urban nature. These are just three of the many talks that were there. One was a group from Italy, from the University of Milano. And they are working on developing something called the Urban Flourishing Biodiversity Measure. I really liked their objectives and sort of the language that they used, where they wanted to evaluate things, including things like virtuosity, responsiveness, and resilience. And they're mainly doing this for cities in Italy. Interact Bio is something some of you may be familiar with. That's a program from ICLEI. They're working on producing resource inventories and natural asset maps in a very collaborative way with community members. I know you can't really see this poster here, obviously, but you can click through later. So their focus is a little different than the uni. It's sort of, what is it that that local people are valuing the most about urban nature, and how does that guide further development? And then the last one I just wanted to highlight is Making Nature City Toolkit. This is from the San Francisco Estuary Institute. And they also, I would say they took a sort of the opposite approach of really working with existing data, working with a lot of satellite data, and doing some modeling as well. And those were the highlights. Happy to answer any questions about that after presentation. I'll hand it back.
Thanks, Sabrina. We'll jump on to which part of the world is it next?
Yeah, thanks, Mika.
Our slides are a little bit
So-
out of date. I'm going to briefly just refresh. So can you just pause for 1 second, Anushree, and I'm going to see if I can make sure that we're on
Sure.
the correct version of this.
Thanks, Glenn. I'm also checking in the group chat if there's any particular questions. Please feel free to raise your questions in the chat box or raise your hand. Let me know if anyone wants to speak. I'm already seeing people connecting on the chat box. That's great.
There is a question in the chat while we redo the slides from Ulcia, asking if we're working in the Latin American region, particularly for the nature-based solutions project, I think is that question. And the answer is yes, we have several team members that are located in the Latin American region on that project. However, we would be very interested in hearing more about the nature-based solutions that you're referring to there, Lucia. So I will provide you with an email to the for the project manager for that project for you to follow up. And we really appreciate you suggesting further connections for that. So thank you so much. We'll see you. Muchas gracias.
And also Tatiana is on the line, yeah?
Oh, great. So perhaps if Tatiana's around, she can respond directly. She's on that team and in your region.
Yeah, Tatiana is our Latin America regional lead. So she's on this call, but maybe she can check in again. Are the slides good to go, Glenn?
Yes, we're good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
Can
to
you
you,
just
Anushri.
go? Yeah, one slide up. We were one slide up. Yeah, so in terms of events, we had the Urban Resilience Workshop with 2 cities in Thailand. This is Surat Thani and Chiang Rai, where the 2 cities are exploring, were exploring UNI or Urban Nature Index as a tool for measuring their urban ecological performance. So we had this training for both the cities, wherein we were doing this with IUCN Asia Regional Office over there. Yeah. Next, please. So also along with this training, which I just mentioned, we had the Asia Regional Conference that happened for IUCN at Bangkok, wherein we had firstly the panel discussion where Jennifer spoke about mainstreaming and valuing diversity through NBS. And we also had an opportunity to present UNI or Urban Nature Index as a tool in the inspiration zone. And we had participants ranging from civil societies and cities. So we had all around more than 7 cities who participated in this engagement. And that was very exciting to see how Asian cities are also looking towards UNI as a tool. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Anushri. We're jumping around people presenting, and that's, oh, there's one more for Anushri. And that's because
Yeah,
we had lots of different UBHubbers at all these different events.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot about this.
Back to
So
you.
I also had the opportunity to be part of a 2-day workshop with WRI, where they are looking at a blue-green infrastructure framework that they are developing for implementing their climate action plan, which they have prepared with C40. So this was a 2-day workshop, and they were looking at different solutions and how can they integrate it together. Thank you.
Great, Anushri. Anushri's our South Asia regional lead, and she's doing great work in India. So if you have any connections or you'd like to ask her more about that, definitely reach out to her. I will now share a little bit about what happened towards the later part of the year. We were represented at the Future Green City World Congress, which was also the venue for the awards for the World Green City Awards. This collaboration with the AIPH has been mentioned by Pablo earlier, so I won't spend too much time, but we're really, really grateful and honored to be a core partner with AIPH to be on their technical panel and reviewing the cities and getting to know what cities are doing all over the world. Next slide, please. And here was our delegation at the CBD COP16. COP season is just going to end. We've had the Biodiversity Convention COP, that's where we were at in Cali in Colombia. There's the Climate Change COP that was in Baku in Azerbaijan. And then right now on the very last day is the Desertification COP, Convention on Combating Desertification, which is currently happening in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. So we were able to have presence at the Biodiversity COP, where there is the Summit for Subnational Governments and Cities. And so it's an event that always happens with the COPs, where subnational governments and cities come together to talk about what they can do for biodiversity. We were also
I just want to interject, Mika, because we failed to mention on the slide that this year we became official observers to the Convention on Biological Diversity, which meant that we were able to send our own delegates to the convention, and actually were able to facilitate the attendance of some of our city partners and collaborators. So that was really exciting this year, and a big thanks to Maitreyi for helping us make that happen. So just wanted to insert that right quickly. Sorry, Mika, go ahead.
No worries. Yeah, that was something that I had missed out. but it's really exciting to be there as UBHub. Accreditation to join the negotiation sessions in what we call the blue zone is for accredited organizations only. And so we were really glad to be able to get that accreditation and be able to send UBHubbers as UBHubbers. And some of our UBHubbers were there to organize a workshop about co-creating symbiotic cities of the future. And that was in the green zone where the public was able to attend. So not just accredited participants to the conference. We were there to also present about the nature science-based targets for cities and where we are at with that project. Then we were also there, as Pablo had mentioned earlier, to sign our MOU with the Keystone Species Alliance and the government of Quintana Roo. And obviously with a huge conference like this, we were there to network with past, current, and potential partners. So next slide, just a quick sharing of key outcomes and insights for us. The global discussions are really moving towards connecting biodiversity loss and climate change and not working on silos in these aspects anymore, and that cities can and should lead on this synergy. So these were key messages that we're bringing back and incorporating into our work. There was lots of discussions about how we can report local contributions to the global framework. Lots of discussions on the 30 by 30 target, nature-based solutions, as you've also heard a lot today, and the term nature positive. So all of these are concepts that we work with throughout our work. We also would want to use the momentum from the signing of the MOU to engage subnational governments as an entry point to reach many cities at once. We often work with local governments, and we're also exploring this avenue to work with subnational governments to bring in the concept of connectivity across the landscape that goes through urban spaces. Then we definitely connected with several entities at the CBD. And the next slide, we'll be sharing about the workshop that was co-organized by that was led by a group of young people with the Trophica Lab. Very unfortunately, their leader, Mateo, is not able to join us right today because he is leading a cultural event in the city of Bogota, where he is based today. So this is on his behalf. This workshop applied gamification and participative design to bridge local actions with IUCN's urban nature indexes. And so this lab, this version of their urban lab, had 40 attendees and produced about 20 plus recommendations for biodiversity policy and design for Bogota's metro region. And the technical note for this workshop is in progress with the official journalist of the CBD COP16 presidency, who is the environment minister of Colombia. So lots of exciting work coming out of this. And I think we're not done yet with events for the end of the year. For the rest of, we have one last one that happened very recently, I think 1 week or 2 weeks ago, and Eric was able to represent UBHub there.
Yes, actually, there are two in one here. I wanted to talk a bit about the roadmap for urban nature-based solutions. We, through sort of my co-leadership of the Africa node, through NATURA of the urban nature-based solutions global roadmap. I co-lead the Africa team and bring with me sort of UBHub into that process. And this is really critical because we're looking at, for the Africa case, we have been exploring through a number of engagements across the continent, 25 cases that sort of cuts across every sub-region of the African content, looking at all of the different sort of urban and urbanizing spaces and where nature-based solutions are being implemented at scale, right? And to do different kinds of things, from sort of dealing with water scarcity to disaster risk reduction, to sort of addressing flood risk, to agro ecology dynamics. All of these things are actually happening, and they're happening in a way that really transforms those spaces. And so this is a part of a global effort, sort of 7 regions around the world, sort of everyone's coming together to look at it, but we have, had an opportunity to influence the process around what this looks like for Africa, and sort of bring in the biodiversity dynamics, and look at sort of the urban case. And we've had a number of workshops, writing workshops in particular, over the last year, with the last one just happening in December. And this will lead to the publication and the launch. We'll have, by June, July, we're looking at launching the global report, but we're going to launch the Africa report in South Africa at the big transformations, community transformations in ESG event that's going to be happening in South Africa, but we're going to also do it in Nairobi as well, co-hosted with UNEP and the city of Nairobi. So we're really excited about that. The other thing is that we were invited to a practitioner event. It's an Africa regional event that was organized by the UN Environment Program, by UNEP, to sort of engage with practitioners in urban nature and biodiversity, nature-based solutions, around what their role should be to support sort of the process of urban nature and biodiversity conservation over the next 5 years. They did consultations in Latin America, in Asia, and then they also did them in Africa. And we were invited to that process in Africa. There were about 30 people that were invited to the session. And it was governments, the city of Cape Town, the city of Nairobi were there, a number of other cities, but there were practitioners like Carbon Tanzania, which is a carbon developer, at the local level in Tanzania, that were a part of that process. So you had people from the private sector, you had, sort of NGOs and CSOs, you had government entities sitting around, sort of really, ICLE, Africa was also there, sort of looking at, where we are and where we need to be. And having UBHub as a part of that conversation is, we think, very critical. And it has created a context to move into a community of practice. And we have, and most of the folks, the 30 that were a part of that process, now have joined our Africa regional team. And so they will be a part of the briefings, and 2 of the cities were already briefers, right? And ICLE is also a part of what we're doing. So we're expanding that. And UNEP has also been attending our briefings. So we're using, sort of these events to extend sort of our reach to practitioners and to local governments across the continent. Thanks.
Thanks for all the great work that you're doing there as the lead for the Africa region. And we also have lots of exciting news. But with that, I can say that we've had a very, very full 2024. We're not quite done yet. There's still a tiny bit left. And mirroring that, in our AGM, we have a final section about just our structure and processes. With so many things happening and lots of expansion in 2024, we're really having to think more about UBHub and how our structure and processes can help our UBHubbers and the community to serve the purposes that we all want to reach. So I'll move to the next slide, which talks about our outreach. Pablo, who is our Chief Communications Officer.
Hi, can you hear me? Yeah, I think so. So in terms of outreach, we have in our mailing list 921 subscribers that receive our emails. Sorry. And we also have, whenever we send surveys for projects, like, for example, the SBTN, we have a response rate of about 22%. So that's pretty cool. In terms of social media, we have a Twitter account and LinkedIn. In the past, we used to have Facebook, but no one uses that anymore. So now we have, I think that the one social media account in which we have grown the most is LinkedIn, and we almost doubled from 363 last year during our last AGM to 688 followers, and Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Can we go to the next one, please? Thank you. Also, in terms of communications, I just put here in the chat the link to our new brochure, in which we have shared information about ourselves, about who we are, what we do, and the different organizations that we work with. And we have been handing those brochures out in these events that were mentioned earlier. We're also working on making a new makeover for the website, and I also share the link to this new version of it. So please go ahead and take a look. And that being said, can we go to the next one, please? Thank you. We're looking for any support that we could have in terms of communications. I am currently managing that, so this is if any of you have any ideas, would like to participate. You don't have to have any previous experience. We can work on that together. You can be creative and contribute to the work that we're doing, mainly through the publications. We can write posts, we can do infographics, we can do many things. The sky's the limit. Just feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Thanks, Pablo. And I do want to share, he's really fun and cool to work with.
I think I'm next on the list, and I'd love to just jump on that recruiting slide as well, just to emphasize that if anyone on this call is totally inspired by the work that we're doing, like all of us are, and thinks we're a cool team to work with, we want to hear from you. And we're interested in finding other passionate individuals all around the world that can connect us with your region, and then we can connect you with your career goals in cities and nature. We've been at this for several years, and I've had the privilege of seeing people that have joined us from the very beginning, like Pablo, really be able to direct their career in directions that they want to go, and we can give them that experience. So we would love to work with others on this call as well. So feel free to reach out to us. I've put my contact information in the chat. So next I'll be talking about our outreach so far and what we've done there, or no, sorry, the engagement and onboarding. Next slide. Or wait, you've gone way ahead. Back 3 slides. Okay, forward 1. Okay, so we have this year, the onboarding approach for our organization has been an area that needs improvement for some time, just in order to be able to bring people on board, have them know who we are as an organization, and then connect them into the projects and the initiatives that they are interested in. So for the first time this year, we now have a head of human resources, Debbie, who would be presenting this slide if she was here right now, but I believe that she's not here at the moment. We now have an onboarding plan that we're testing out, and the start of the onboarding plan is to fill out our engagement form, which is an opportunity for you to share with us the skills that you have and the skills that you're looking to develop, as well as things like the languages that you speak, where you'd like to become involved, what your availability is to work with us. So it's an opportunity to let us know all about you, and then we are able to have that in a spreadsheet. And in the future, if we're looking for someone in your area or with your expertise, we can pull that up and then reach out to you directly. So this is the best way for you to initiate becoming involved with us. So we'll put the link to that engagement form in the chat for anyone who hasn't yet filled that out. And we invite all people at UBHub to complete this form, even if you've been working with us before. It's just a really nice place to have all that information in one place. So then the next step after you've filled out the form is for us to connect you with the regional lead in your region. They are the outreach face for new people according to the region that you've selected in the form. And then also to jump into the monthly briefings. At the monthly briefings, we let you all know what projects we have going on. And it's an opportunity for you to connect in with what we're doing. So that's the best way to just kind of know what's going on, so that you can then put up your hand if you're interested in hopping into a project. Then we've also have now a standard orientation slide deck to our organization. And we also have an exit interview questionnaire for people that are taking a break for some time. We've also this year, next slide please, started several templates because of our growth. We're now not able to, just create everything first time, each time. So we've had to have the production of several templates. So we now have templates for the entire project management process, which also helps us bring on new project managers and train people up to handle entire projects. I think Maitreyi is a great example there. She started jumping in and doing project management for us, and she was the one who was a primary architect of the project management system that we have in place now. We have templates for invoices, MOUs, standard invitation emails, for the slide decks, event follow-up reports for people that attend an event on our behalf, and also for tracking our contacts. So these are all things that are kind of the growth indicators for our organization and those standards that we need to have in place. Now I'm going to pass the presentation over to Glenn, who will be telling us about the new website.
Hello, everyone. So, yeah, as some of you may have noticed, we've got a new website. This was built by UBHubbers with the Wix platform. And the big thing is it's a giant facelift for us. Our previous website was built a while ago, let's just say. And it shows a little bit. So we've got lots of different sections here. We've got our home section here. We've got sections on, just a second, trying to do this with this slide tool is challenging for me, sorry. We've got improved graphics. It's easier for us to update on a regular basis. And we've got services, projects, publications. Here's our section on our partners, groups that we've worked with, and there's the publications. We're also looking at having some improvements eventually. This is upcoming improvements. They're not here yet. To how our map works. Again, our map is starting to show its age, and I assure you it was very trendy and popular back when we first built it, but we're looking at giving it a little bit of not only a new appearance, which will be a little bit make it a little look more up to date, but also updating how we interface with that data itself. That project we are hoping to really start this coming year. And we're engaging with a consultant to try and do that because I've previously been doing all of that work and have found that the organization has grown beyond my ability to keep up with it in terms of what we're doing. So on that topic, we're going to get into talking about the most fun part of the slides for me, which is the finance section. We've had enormous growth in our consulting income. We've obviously had a lot going on this year. And this is the result of a lot of hard work from a lot of people. And so, as you can see, in 2024, we had almost 200,000 Canadian dollars of income to the organization, or revenue to the income. I should use my correct terminology here. And then you'll see we do a good job of making sure that our consultants are compensated for that work, reimbursed for travel costs. We have the new marketing material that you folks saw with the new brochures. And we have our first time ever being able to have some administration that pays for like just ongoing work that we have to do, generally speaking, and having people who are able to handle things just as they come up, or even thinking about future needs and things like that. So this paints a picture that's really incomplete in my opinion, though, because it just cuts off at 2024, like December 2024. I think that's so I wanted to show you these projections that we have. So we're going to end up spending a decent amount. This has to do with the fact that we are a cash-based organization. Contracts come in, get paid, then other things come out, things like that. And we have some with, of course, increasing complexity of the organization, increasing costs. So our projection for next year is to end up spending some of those those funds and have our balances go down. That's expectation. That's not going to be a problem or anything like that. We've planned for that. But that's also helping us get further along with our objectives because we're a not-for-profit organization. The idea here is not to have this net income number constantly climb or balances and accounts constantly climb up. Our objective is to continue on the mission with the organization.
Thanks a lot, Glenn, for sharing our financial status. And we're just rounding out with some we talked a lot about our growth this year and all the things that we're doing. And the templates that Jennifer had shared were things that we came up with because we realized that we really have to capture a lot of this information and in a way that would make sense. And we've also had a lot of requests about travels and about funding. And we realized that as a growing organization, we can't always be taking every single case as a case-by-case basis, and that we needed to be clear to our UBHubbers about what kinds of events, what types of expenses would be considered within the organizational strategic needs and something that would be reimbursable as a representative of UBHub at certain events. So we're working on a policy that would be presented at the executive committee and decided. And we would also be sharing that in 2025. Some considerations that we would include in this policy would include things like alignment with our organizational strategy. So also thinking a little bit more about our strategic planning at the same time.
Mika, sorry, I have to interject here. We are on the hour. So I just wanted to let attendees know that we're on the last couple of slides. So this is not going on. And we'll soon be transitioning into our legal matters. So I want to just thank everyone that has been able to attend today. And if you are able to stay on, we should be able to be available for some question and answer. But just because we're on the hour, I just wanted to interject for a moment to thank everyone for coming. And we will have the recording if you'd like to check out the very end and all of our fun legal matters that we do at the end of our annual general meeting based on legal requirements. So thanks, Mika, for letting me interject, and I'll hand it back to you.
Thanks, Jen, for being a great timekeeper. I'm always really bad at that, so I had to assign somebody to timekeep for us. So we will be having this policy upcoming, and I'll move ahead to talk about the very last bits of our organizational structure, and that's to share with everybody that this is the executive committee that has been around since 2023, and we're always here with lots of big hearts and big hugs for everybody around the world. And we want to just share with you that we are also growing together with all of us at UBHub. And we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to also work with you and grow with you together. And I think that's a great way to say what a year it has been for UBHub in 2024. So next slide, please. I think that's just a quick smash of like photos from all of the different slides. And I want to thank everybody for your time, for joining us. We have time for some questions, if you can click next, or thoughts that people would like to share. I've seen a lot of great interactions in the chat group, so really, really happy to be seeing this. It's really part of our objectives to have that hub going on. But any questions, any thoughts, now's your time. Before we go into the boring legal parts where we'll be talking about like, do we have quorum to vote on stuff? Or the board members. Thank you, everybody. Do I see any hands? Do I see any requests for the floor? Yeah, Laura. We aren't missing someone from the Caribbean because Adrian is from the Caribbean. Hi, Adrian. Nice to see you.
Hi, Adrian. Sorry, I just want to say you should maybe think to reach out North America since Caribbean and North America, we are really like next door. So please reach out. It will be really interesting and fun to work with someone, from the Caribbean.
Looks like Michael has his hand raised.
Yes, hello
Sorry,
everybody.
Great
Michael.
to have
Hi,
you here,
Michael.
Michael. Hey.
Yes, hi. It's so lovely to see all of you again on the screen here, and I'm just absolutely like blown away by the amount of events and involvement and engagement of people and the growth of UBHub over the last year and a half. So I have been involved in the past with UBHub on various initiatives, and so I'm looking forward to re-engaging once again. But I did want to comment on I think an exciting development in terms of growth, and that's working with regional governments, right? So moving towards, or I guess incorporating or bringing into the under the umbrella of UBHub, working with regional governments and as an entry point to working with even more urban areas. So I think that's an interesting and brilliant in a way strategy for engaging even more municipalities and cities around the world. So I just wanted to just say hello and say nice to see you again, and just I'm just heartened by all the amount of work and growth over the last year and a bit. So that's awesome. Congratulations to all of you.
We miss you,
Thanks,
Michael.
Michael. Yeah, you were a key part of that growth. I know it happened a lot in this year, but there was really a pivot point in the year that you were more involved, which was the year before this year, that made all that happen. So I'm really happy to see you here. And I want to respond to your comment about the subnational or regional governments. We had mentioned earlier the MOU that we signed with Quintana Roo in Mexico, which is a subnational government there, and we're hoping to replicate a similar model across many different governments. We're currently exploring some of those opportunities, and I believe, Michael, you've raised up some potential opportunities in Canada as well. So we look forward to following up on those in 2025. And I see now another great friend from our founding days, Adrian. My goodness, you've grown your hair since I saw you last. He has his hand raised. So Adrian, you have the floor.
Hi, Jen. Hi, Mika. Yeah, it's been a while. But it seems as if you guys I'd forgotten my promise to you from last year. I was just reminding you that mixing us in with Latin America, I'm totally against that idea, because oftentimes we get lumped in with Brazil, the Bolivias, the Colombias, and then as small islands, sorry, I'm in a very noisy place. As small island developing states, our voices get lost. And so putting together Latin America and the Caribbean as one region is for me a no-no, and I've been saying this from the founding days. So I'm willing to help build a strategy in terms of how we reach the Caribbean and the small island developing states within our waters. So it would be interesting to see what that looks like within UBHub. In 2025, I'd intended for it to be 2024, but it seems, again, unfortunately, I maybe might not have communicated that at the last meeting last year effectively. So hopefully, we can have a great partnership. I'm now 85% of the way in registering a local NGO. Remember, I actually mentioned this at the last meeting as well. So once we get that legally registered, we could actually see a partnership between UBHub and my organization in the Caribbean, if UBHub is interested. What that looks like could be discussed at a later date, but still my concern is the lost voices of the Caribbean islands.
Adrian, I really appreciate you bringing that up, and I have to apologize that we didn't reach out to you earlier. We actually would be potentially interested in having the regions program have perhaps a couple of additional regions. We actually had originally also a Middle East and North Africa region with a regional lead, but because of the conflicts and things that were happening there, we ended up putting that one on pause. So in the new year, I could see us potentially opening up some new regions, in particular island states, opening back up the Middle East region. And the other one is to have a regional lead for Indigenous voices around the world. But we would also be very happy to hear from others who might be interested in stepping up and leading a region. And now that we have the region system in place, we have those templates, it's going to be much easier to kind of raise up leaders from the organization to take on those roles. And just a shout out to Adrian's organization. I can't recall the name right now, but it's an apiculture bee and honey organization that's absolutely amazing in Jamaica. Adrian's a rock star over there. So we would be very lucky to have you plug back into us. So my apologies that we weren't able to connect earlier, but I'm so glad we have the AGM where we bring everybody together so we could make these connections again. And lovely to see you, Adrian. We have a hand raised from Kenneth Wong. Go ahead, Kenneth.
Hi, I hope you can hear me. I just wonder, so far any representative from Malaysia or at least Southeast Asia here?
Wow. Hi, neighbor. I'm from Singapore.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, Malaysians, we've had a few, but sort of they were just sort of subscribers on our mailing list. We haven't had any leaders from Malaysia yet. We'd be very happy to get you on board and get you started with the Asia region. I personally am coming back from maternity leave and really starting to build the Asia region up together with Anushri, who's our South Asia regional lead. So Asia is huge with over 100 countries. So we gotta have many people to be working on building the Asia region. Would love to get your
contact details, please, so that we can connect with you. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Kenneth.
Mika, I will leave my chat over the my contact over the chat there. We contact more.
Thanks, Kenneth.
Okay, bye.
You can also reach out to me. I think Anushya, it'd be great if you can just repaste the email. I think it's lost somewhere in the chat. We'd be happy to take any more questions or comments. Oh, yeah, Adrian.
Yeah, I just forgot to tell you, it might be a little bit easier for me now to get information, because I'm now embedded within the government of Jamaica as the Forestry Department's technical officer on REDD+ and climate change. So in terms of information, let's put a rush on that particular area, because whilst I'm still there, because the posted time in is a contracted one and it ends in about another year and 3 months. And I'm also applying for PhD programs for next year. So if we can start off something very quickly over the next 9 months at least, I should be able to at least source information from or make connections to the Forestry Department whilst I still have the power to do so. I report directly to the CEO and Conservator of Forests within Jamaica. So there is some scope or potential of scoping out something along that line. No promises. I'm just saying I have the ear, whilst I have the ear of the Jamaican government more directly, which is something that I was missing before. Let's sprint. like you said, but let's sprint, okay? So yeah.
Sorry, I got overexcited and hit the wrong unmute. But that sounds really great that you're connected with the Forests organization in Jamaica. Amazing.
Thanks, Adrian, for letting us know. And I know what it's like to also be connected with the governments. My previous hat was with the Southeast Asian governments and having to wear both hats. I think all of us here at UBHub wear multiple hats. And this is something in common that we share. And I think that's also a testament to how we all are here together for a common purpose. And I do want to make sure that our time is all right. We're almost 15 minutes past the hour.
Yes. We're okay.
And
And we've also reduced participants at this point. I want to give a shout out to some people that I see that are still here old friends and people that have helped our organization. So I want to say hi to Franco, who hasn't spoken but is one of our Latin America leads. Thanks for joining us and is also participating in several of the consultancies. I see Joe Clare is on the line, or he was a second ago. I don't know if he's popped off. Yeah, he's there. A great friend of mine who's helped us with the strategy of our organization. So feel free to pop on and say a quick hi. And then anyone who's new that just wants to say a quick hello, just because we're down to a smaller number of people, and then we'll pass on to boring things. So it would be great to hear a quick hi from anyone that wants to say hello.
I want to say hello to Julie.
Yeah, Julie and even Charlene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi guys, so
Charlene.
nice to be here and cool to, I know I've like had little involvement with the Africa group and pieces through SBTN, but it's great to hear the whole picture. So thanks for sharing that. It's just been really cool.
Hello everyone.
Hi guys. Oh.
Hey, Charlene.
How are you?
I'm just really glad my baby's not yet awake.
Oh yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, no, I somehow lost touch with people because of some issue with WhatsApp like in the middle of the year and didn't realize that I wasn't getting any updates for like 6 months or something. So then I was like, wait a minute, and reconnected. And so yeah, really annoying that I missed like half this exciting year of growth. But you know, next year is still a thing. So
I see also some familiar names. Grant Pearsall, nice to have you here. It must be.
Oh, is Grant still here? I missed that
Yes.
when I was scrolling through. Hi, Grant. Oh my goodness. Grant was a great help to us out of the city of Edmonton, and now Grant, are you still with the city? I think you've retired now, or you've moved on, or?
Yes, I've retired. I'm trying to put my video on here.
We see you fine.
Okay, good. Yes, so yeah, I retired from the city of Edmonton, but I've been doing some work with the World Bank and the World Green Cities Awards and a number of local things here. So still quite involved and keen to work with urban nature.
We're really happy that you come today, and I would love to connect with you more personally on a follow-up and just learn more about what you've been up to.
Yes.
I also would like to say a quick hello to Edgar. I see him popping in and out. Others haven't met Edgar yet. He's met with Glenn and myself. And he just is like an absolutely brilliant person working on data and might be helping us with bringing our database into the current year instead of having it live in the past. So Edgar, if you want to say a quick hi to the team, this is a great opportunity for you to say hello. Thanks for joining. I think I gave you the invite to this event like literally hours ago. So thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. And I must say, yes, it was pretty short notice, but I jumped onto the call as soon as I could. I just want to let everyone know that I'm a consultant. I love to work with design specifically for science communication and knowledge dissemination. So I love what you guys are trying to do to not just do the work of improving urban biodiversity, but to also increase awareness. And that right there is where I'd love to play a part in if I could support the rest of the activities of UBHub. So I've had the chance to talk to Jennifer and Glenn over the last few weeks, and I must say it's really inspiring to see all the different people from different parts of the world just coming together and sharing not just their passion, but the progress that they're making and the sort of supports that they're willing to give each other. You should know that it just looks like an amazing team with fantastic chemistry. And I'm looking forward to playing a bigger part in it. Thank you, guys.
The chemistry is what we all create together. So I really want to, I'm very grateful and very lucky that we have people that we can work with from so many different time zones. Me having a kid is limiting the time, the times that I can work in the day. Yes, very grateful for the team. Well, bunch is such a nice way to call this, to know this bunch.
Sorry, I've just typed it. I was eating and I was typing at the same time. But yeah, it's been a wonderful journey, I think. And it's great to see how this response was for the AGM this year. This was great. I mean, I'm feeling so, yeah, I'm on another high now.
Thanks a lot, Anushi. Anushi has joined us from like quite the beginning, wasn't it? I think
Yes, 2017, yeah.
yeah. We found it in December of 2016. So basically 2017. So you've been there from the beginning. But thanks for sticking with us. And I think thank you all for sticking with us to this part of the call. I think we'll slowly transition to taking on the boring legal matters. It's actually part of our obligations to maintain our registration status as a society in BC, Canada. So feel free if you have another commitment and you need to hop off. We completely understand. But if you'd like to stay on and see what it's like to work through some of these procedural matters, feel free to stay. And will it be easier if I share my screen as I type the notes in there?
Yeah, that makes sense. Before we move on to that, I just want to say just an idea right now is that maybe we have enough interest in leadership on the regional briefings, and that we should have a special session, like a session on people that want more information on what that's like, to help lead the regional briefings. That might be something we should consider early in the new year.